Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Okay, let's dive into this. For decades, financial gurus have been hammering the exact same piece of advice into our heads. It's almost like a mantra at this point, right? Stop buying your morning latte, invest that $5 or $6 instead, and boom, you'll eventually retire a millionaire. We all know it as the Latte Factor. It's kind of the go-to concept drilled into the minds of literally anyone trying to take control of their personal finances. But looking at the reality of today's crazy economic landscape, we've got to ask ourselves, does skipping your morning coffee actually matter as much as we've always been told?
I mean, the $250,000 coffee, is this classic piece of financial advice just completely outdated now? And honestly, more importantly, is it potentially keeping you focused on the absolute wrong things when it comes to actually building your wealth? Today, we're going to unpack the source material to look at the cold, hard math, the sneaky psychological traps of this advice, and a much, much better strategy to build your wealth without starving your joy.
Now, first things first, let's give credit exactly where it's due. The math behind the Latte Factor, it is completely real, and it's actually really important to understand. Let's break it down. If you spend $6 on a premium coffee every single day, well, that adds up to roughly $180 a month, right? Now, if you took that $180 and invested it into the stock market at a pretty standard 8% annual return over 30 years, compounding interest does its magic. That daily coffee habit literally compounds into over $268,000. It's a staggering number, for sure, and it absolutely validates the mathematical power of investing small amounts consistently over a long period of time.
So the crucial point is that this core principle isn't actually just about the espresso itself. The Latte Factor is really about unconscious, repetitive spending. In our modern world, this takes so many different forms. It's those unmonitored streaming subscriptions you completely forgot you even signed up for. It's those sneaky, constant food delivery app fees. It's just daily convenience purchases that you don't even think about anymore. The concept is super valuable because it exposes these subtle leaks in your budget, and hey, it teaches you the foundational habit of consistency.
Section 2. The reality check. The real budget killers.
Here is where we dramatically pivot, because while the math of compounding interest is totally flawless, its application in today's economy has some pretty serious flaws. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why. You see, housing and debt take up a massive, dominant slice of the typical budget. Then you've got another massive chunk going straight to transportation and healthcare. And then, look at that tiny little sliver. That is the coffee. This proves a vital point from our source material. You simply cannot budget your way out of a low salary or skyrocketing housing costs. The average consumer spends the vast majority of their income on these big three structural expenses.
Which brings us to a very real psychological trap here. Frugality fatigue is real, guys. Obsessing over a $6 cup of coffee takes massive mental energy. But the harsh reality is it barely moves the needle if your structural costs are totally out of control. Just think about it. If you are locked into an aggressive $700 a month car payment and you're in an apartment that is just eating up half your paycheck, denying yourself a morning coffee is definitely not going to save your finances. It's just going to make an already stressful life feel completely miserable. You're draining all your mental willpower on a tiny, tiny sliver of the pie.
Section 3. The paradigm shift. The big win strategy.
Okay, so we've seen the trap. What's the solution? Well, it's time to shift gears and look at a highly empowering, energetic approach to personal finance. On one hand, we have traditional frugality, the old way, ruthlessly tutting out daily coffee, dealing with constant mental exhaustion, and living with high stress over every single penny. Contrasted with that is the big win strategy. This means optimizing your rent, negotiating your salary, and building real structural wealth. The source material is basically urging us to shift our focus entirely here. Instead of fighting yourself over tiny daily joys and micro expenses, you really need to focus your energy on the areas that deliver the absolute highest return on your investment. Let's move to and see how this builds into an actionable macro-level strategy. The Big Wins approach breaks down into 3 exact steps. Step 1, optimize your housing and your wheels. Step 2, automate 15% of your income into investments. And Step 3, focus heavily on your earning power. By tackling these 3 structural pillars, you fundamentally change your financial trajectory. Let's break each one of these down.
All right, let's look at Step 1, translating these macro numbers into some super relatable units. Buying a reliable used car instead of financing a brand new luxury vehicle can easily save you $400 a month in payments and insurance. Now compare that to the $180 a month you save by cutting out coffee. That single structural decision to drive a reliable used car is mathematically equal to cutting out 66 lattes a month. It's crazy, right? You get the massive financial win, and you still get to keep your morning coffee. Moving right along to Step 2, automate a guilt-free system.
This is where technology totally works for you. The goal here is to set up your banking app to automatically transfer 15% of your paycheck directly into your investments on the exact day you get paid. You literally don't even have to think about it. The brilliant part of this strategy is that once your future self is fully funded and that 15% is safely invested, well, you can spend the remaining cash in your checking account on whatever you want, completely guilt-free.
And finally, step 3, which is honestly arguably the most powerful, focus on your earning power. Just think about a $5,000 raise. Spending 2 hours of your time updating your resume, or maybe spending a weekend upskilling so you can negotiate a $5,000 bump in your salary, that builds wealth infinitely faster than meticulously cutting every premium beverage from your life forever. You know, there's a strict limit to how much you can cut out of a budget, but there is absolutely no limit to how much you can earn. Section 4. Guilt-free wealth building. The conclusion.
So, we've synthesized the math of the Latte Factor, the reality of those structural budget killers, and the sheer power of the big win strategy. Now, I want to leave you with this really powerful quote straight from the source material. Wealth isn't built by depriving yourself of small daily pleasures, it's built by managing your largest liabilities and maximizing your income. That right there, that is the ultimate takeaway. Buy the coffee if it brings you joy and genuinely makes your morning better. Just make sure that your big financial blocks, your housing, your transportation, your automatic investments, and your earning power, make sure those are firmly locked in first. To wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a quick question to really challenge your mindset. Now that you understand the big win strategy, what is your absolute favorite guilt-free luxury that you simply refuse to cut out? Let us know. Focus on those big blocks, automate your future, and please enjoy your daily joys. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive and keep learning.